there, fellow classic comic collectors. I'm Scott Harris King, and today I've got sort of a mishmash video. We're going to be doing a bunch of different things. First, we're going to be doing a store visit, a brief store visit, and then recently took a vacation where we went to the store, but also picked up a lot of weird things along the way. A couple different bookstore purchases, and then actually my in-laws gave me a bunch of cool stuff, comics related stuff. So I'm going to show you all of that. We're going to start off with a quick store visit to Greenfield, Mass, to a place called His and Her Comics. Before we get to that short store visit, I do want to mention again that my comic, The Crime Busters, is currently live on Kickstarter. I've got the link down below. You can check that out. Write and draw it and self-publish it. And it's just filled with love for comics and love for the golden age of comics and stuff like that. So you can check it out down below. But we went to Greenfield as part of our trip around Vermont and upstate New York and stuff. And in Greenfield, Massachusetts, there's a comic book store there called His and Her Comics. I've got a little bit of footage here, as you see outside the store. It's right near downtown. If you go down this hill, boom, there it is. His and Her Comics. And they actually have a lot of cool stuff. And I was so busy looking at all that cool stuff that I forgot to take any video on the inside. But let's put it up on the map here. Bada boom, bada bing. We got a new map of the western part of Mass, and I've got a couple other store visits that I actually did a while ago that I haven't gotten around to editing the video for, but we're going to put them up later. We're going to need this map again in the future. So, but anyway, yes. His and Her Comics. Now, I've bought stuff from them before because I've seen them at local conventions, and they've had some cool stuff. And this place had a lot of cool stuff, and I wish I had thought to take video on the inside. As I was walking to the store, I said to my wife, I've got to remember to take a video inside because sometimes I forget. And there wasn't anyone else in there, really, and I'm sure the guy would have let me, and I completely blanked. And it was too bad because he had a whole wall of a whole bunch of key books. He had some Golden Age books. He had, I remember seeing like a Luke Cage #1, Hero for Hire #1 first appearance, and a bunch of cool stuff. But I'm sorry I didn't do it, and I didn't buy very much because I'm kind of tightening my budget quite a bit. I'm only putting the money out right now if it's something that I really need after my big spending sprees the last few months. That's done. That's done. So I only bought one comic while I was there. Is this here? It was the Our Fighting Forces 100-page giant. So I'm not quite sure when this came out. I haven't seen it before. It says that it was in partnership with the National Medal of Honor Museum, and there's a story here that you can see. It's President Obama giving someone a Medal of Honor. And I'm a big fan of Unknown Soldier. So anyway, it was $6. And it's going to give me a lot of good reading material. So that's the only thing I ended up actually buying. But there was some really cool stuff. They didn't have much in the way of romance, just a couple. They did have some really good war books, and the one book that I was so tempted to get, I was so tempted, as I was going through and I was like, oh, wow. And I pulled it out, and it was a nice, lower mid-grade, like say, technically it's probably a 4.5 or a 5 at best, but beautifully presenting GI Combat 83 with a classic gray wash cover. It was $100. It was just, I just don't have the budget for that book right now, as much as I love it. If it had been $60, I probably would have bought it. $50 for sure, but $100, and I'm not saying that's a bad price for it because it's a great book. It's just more than I can put out right now. So I definitely recommend you go there if you're going through the area. A lot of really good stuff, like a lot of quality comics there. A lot of old back issues. If you're looking, a lot of the stores I go to, they don't really have much really back issues. This place has the old stuff. So top notch. I just, it was the end of the trip. We were on our way home. Like, it was the last place we were stopping before finally going home, and we were both tired, and I didn't want to spend too much time there, but I just didn't, especially after the vacation, I just didn't have the money. So I'm not doing the store the justice that it deserves, but there you have it. Now, when I got home, I got a couple things in the mail, and I thought I'd show them to you. First is something really cool from Kickstarter. I did tell you this is going to be all over the place, this video. A lot of different things. Really cool from Kickstarter is called The Woman in the Woods and Other North American Stories. Great cover, really cool. It's an anthology of stories, traditional stories from indigenous nations such as the Taino, the Navajo, Ottawa, and more. I've mentioned before that my wife is Native American. She's part of a tribe out in California. So this is personal interest to me. This is part of a series. It's called The Cautionary Fables and Fairy Tales. Each of the volumes is basically a different sort of culture from around the world, stories from that culture in comic form. So I had to get it. Of course, I try and pick up the comics with Native American stories and indigenous people when I can because of the personal interest in it. But also, it just looks really cool. Speaking of something that looks cool, it's this. It's Comic House. Now, we didn't get anywhere for Free Comic Book Day, but I really wanted this, so I bought this off of eBay. So it's called Equilibrium. It's from Comic House. Now, Comic House is a comic book company up in Canada and I've talked about them before, but they recently rebranded as Lev Gleason. And so they're doing revivals of the Lev Gleason characters. So obviously, for me, with my series of Crime Busters, as a big fan of Boy Comics and Crime Buster, which is a Lev Gleason title, I'm very invested. I don't quite know what's going on with them up there because they have their flagship title. Forget exactly what it's called, Lev Gleason Presents or something like that. And it's supposed to have all of these revivals in it. And they keep every issue, every month, the new previews has a preview of the new issue. And they're up to, like, in the previews, they're up to, like, issue 12. But as far as I can tell, only the first 2 ever came out. And so every month they're advertising another new issue. But it's been, like, over a year with them not putting them out, as far as I can find. Because issue 9 was all about Crime Buster, their version of Crime Buster. And I don't know, it's supposed to come out in December, but I've never been able to find it. As far as I can tell, it was never published. But they did publish this. And if you look real close on the cover, here's Crime Buster here. He's also on the inside on a couple pinups, but it turns out he's not in this story. The rest of these characters on the cover are in the story, but Crime Buster's not. So basically, this is like the setup. It's a prologue to this big company-wide crossover where the Claw, recognize the Claw, famous Lev Gleason villain. The Claw basically conquers the world and kills all the heroes and stuff, and then there's some time travel that goes on with a couple that escape or something, and they go back in time to warn the heroes. And so it's kind of like, it's a little bit like in Avengers Infinity War, where Doctor Strange is like, there's just one possible way, and they go back in time to try and do that. That's kind of what this is setting up with all of these Lev Gleason characters. They also have, like, it's not just Lev Gleason, they have some other characters as well, Captain Canuck, stuff like that. But you can see Daredevil here on the cover. Here he is with his boomerang and stuff. The story was fine, but there's no Crime Buster in it, and I'm not sure that they're ever going to publish the rest of the issues of this. So I don't know. Then we had our trip. So a couple things from the trip. There was, you may remember I did a video a couple of years ago now of the comic book magazine that came out in 1974. That was like an industry mag. It only ran a few issues, and I found some of these at this antique store in Vermont. Well, we went back to that store and it was closed. There's several stores, including some comic book stores, that I wanted to visit on this trip, and they were all closed. But they did have a box of free stuff outside, so just on a whim, I picked this up. It's the Black Diamond, for whatever that's worth, classic edition of Disney's Beauty and the Beast on VHS. It was free, so I just picked that up. I'm a big Disney fan. But we also went to a bookstore, and I got something really cool that I'm really looking forward to reading. I've mentioned this bookstore before because it's in Brattleboro. It's called Everyone's Books, and Last time I was there, speaking of comics about indigenous people, you may remember from that trip, I had gotten a big comic book that was like a history of revolts and revolutions from indigenous populations in North America. But this time around, I got something really cool. It's called Pulp Empire, The Secret History of Comic Book Imperialism. And so this is basically, it's about the Golden Age and the Atomic Age in the 50s, and it talks about how the US government and other governments used comic books as propaganda. So you may remember I just did a video earlier this week about South Africa making propaganda comics in the 1970s, but this is about how messaging during the Golden Age was influenced directly by the governments. And then how that all fell apart with the coming of the Red Scare in the 50s. So I'm really looking forward to reading that. We also got this. My mother-in-law actually bought this for me, and it's super cool. So if you don't have this, I know a lot of you guys are going to dig this. It's the Marvel Classic Sticker Book. And this book has in it reproductions, stickers in sticker form of a couple different series of Marvel like gag stickers. This one's from the 70s, and I'm too lazy to do research, but it's from the mid 70s, and they basically took all these. See, it's got Howard the Duck, and Champions. But they took these pictures, put them on stickers, and then gave these like really corny and not at all funny like jokes in the word balloons, like Cull shouting, "These pants don't fit," or the living mummy saying, "Which hand has the M&Ms?" Anyway, there's a bunch of these. There's also and it's like the complete set. There's pages and pages of these. But then there's also an earlier set. Now, this one is from, let's see. Oh, there's actually information here. This one's Marvel Superhero Stickers 1967. Oh, I didn't realize that. The first one says the stickers from Comic Book Hero Stickers and Marvel Superhero Stickers, 75 and 76 on this set. And then this set is the one from 1967, which is the same idea. Again, more unfunny one-liners. But it's really cool to have these, you know. I've seen pictures of these from the time period. This book has all of them. And then it's got some other really cool stuff. Right? Check this out. It's corner box stickers. Now, the problem I have with stickers, and initially I told her not to get this for me because they're really cool, but then I always, you know, since once you stick them on, they're stuck there, right? And so I don't want to waste the sticker because I want to find the perfect place to use this awesome sticker, and so I never end up using any of them. But I'm going to find a use for these, right? They have some bigger corner boxes from the Bronze Age. Check that out. Avengers 110, Avengers 142, Avengers 249. And then, if that wasn't cool enough, check this out. Classic logo stickers. Check out that Avenger sticker. I think that's going to go right on my laptop. That's the best of them for me. Obviously I'm a huge Avengers fan, but that's the coolest. Then they have a bunch of stickers that are just corner box heads. So you can make your own corner box. And there's a bunch of those. And then at the end, there's this hold on. Okay, check this out. Now, the pages of the book, when I was opening them, they've all fallen out. But they're designed to come out. The reason they're designed to come out is because in the back, there's these, right? There are blank pages for you to draw your own comics. Okay, but check what's out on the other side. It's a full-size Jack Kirby Fantastic Four poster. And it's not the only one. Look at this. Right? How cool is that? And this one in the back is actually super cool. Because look at this. The blank, it's a blank giant size cover. So you can make it whatever you want and draw your own thing. I might find a use for that, actually. If I can figure out a way to scan that full size, that's really cool. Galactus and the Silver Surfer. Jack Kirby. A great Thor Jack Kirby poster. And the Amazing Spider-Man from John Romita. Now, I could be wrong, but I think these posters are the reproductions of posters that I think they might have done these originally in the late 60s. But anyway, those all come together. All the stickers, the posters, the blank pages and everything. It's $15. Totally awesome, right? So that actually is a great book. I'm glad that she got it for me, even though I told her not to, because it ended up being super cool. So those are the things we bought new. But then, so my in-laws were cleaning out their house and they found a bunch of stuff, right? So I'm going to show you the stuff that they gave me, starting with this Rundo book. My father-in-law has no idea why he had this, but it's something called Aetos, Children of the Graves, from Orphan Underground Comics. Now, this is from 1995. It's got cover pencils from Greg LaRocque. It's also signed and numbered by the writer, I guess, Dan Parsons. Dan Parsons, story and art. So he did the whole book, other than the cover. Don't know anything about that. I don't know. They also gave us this. It's the official Howard the Duck movie storybook. Yes, yes it is, and it's got the whole thing. Because the only thing less fun than this movie is reading this movie. So, classic bit of Americana. And then, again, my father-in-law wasn't sure why he had this, but it's so awesome. It's Conan, the ultimate guide to the world's most savage barbarian, written by Roy Thomas. And this is a coffee table book, and it's got all this cool artwork from the comics. It's got maps. It's got paintings. Super cool. It goes through all the different like stories, eras, characters. So really cool. And yeah, this is a keeper for sure. And there was one other thing that my in-laws got me. This was from my mother-in-law. She got this at the time it came out, which is 1976, and it's been carefully taken great care of since then. And it's this here. It's this Wonder Woman glass. Now you can see here it's from Pepsi. Looks like they had a line of the Super Series, but it's got this classic Wonder Woman figure on it. Same on the other side. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this up on display here in my office. I have an Avengers glass that I got about 10 years ago that's on display. I don't want to risk this bouncing around and going through the wash. I don't want to risk the decal getting damaged or anything. It's been taken care of so well for so long that it would be a real shame for something to happen to it now. So I'm just going to... I'm just going to have this out for display here on my desk with my other cool stuff. So I want to thank my mother-in-law for this. It's so cool. And finally, to top off, round out the end of the trip, we stopped in Bennington, Vermont. Went to a couple stores. Most of them are closed. I don't know why, but everything up there was closed. But there was a used bookstore that was open. And so we went in, and they had a box of comics on the floor with just a few. And I asked how much they were. They were $2.50 each. And I ended up with these. Star Wars Shadow of the Empire #2, which is, I guess, worth a few dollars, $8 or $10. And this here, it's Star Wars Heir to the Empire #1. Now, this is a mid-grade. It's probably a 6, about a 6, maybe a 6.5, but people are very harsh with moderns. So it's about a 6. It has a number of spine ticks. It's got some blunting on the corner up here. But considering it was just bouncing around and loose in this cardboard box. So this, I've looked on eBay. It looks like these go for like 150 or so. Didn't spend a lot of time looking. I only looked while I was in the store to just double check. But yeah, so it's in this condition. I don't know. It was probably $100 book. So I was very excited for that. Unfortunately, I can't put in the dollar bin trading challenge because it wasn't $1. They were $2.50 each. So that's a book that I will probably end up selling on eBay. But that is definitely the kind of thing that I love to find, and that's what we're looking for. Always fun. There's so many modern Star Wars books that are worth a lot of money now that I just don't know anything about them. So that's a big blind spot for me when I'm out bargain hunting. I'm trying to catch up, but there's so many obscure characters. I'm surprised that this isn't worth more. It looks like it's like a $10 to $15 book at most, but it's the first appearance of Dash Rendar or something like that, a character that I've actually heard of before. So given how crazy these have been, I thought it would be worth more. But anyway, whatever, it's $2.50. So that's it. So again, check out His and Her Comics in Greenfield. Got a lot of cool stuff from a lot of good places. Again, thank you very much to my in-laws. Thank you so much for all the cool stuff you got. And let me know what you think down below. I'll see you next time.